video for you today, and I have just printed out this morning the workbook that Kailey from Books from MKs has written, a Your Best Reading Life workbook, and has made it free on her website, and it's available for anyone to download and print out if you so desire. I felt like printing it out and making a video of kind of how I filled out this workbook. I thought it would just be really interesting to see kind of, to let you know what my goals for the reading year are, even though I know yesterday I had my reading goals video come out. This is kind of more, I don't know, more general, but it was just a really special workbook that Kailey made. So I wanted to tell you about my experience filling it out. Kailey also has videos for each section of the workbook. So I will, of course, link where I got the workbook below, and then also the videos that Kailey made to help you go through this workbook. So the first section is called Story. What stories or statements do you tell yourself about the kind of reader that you are? And what's nice is that she gives you lots of suggestions in each section. So those are all kind of options for the kind of reader that you are. I'm not a fast reader. I'm not a scholarly person, so I don't read much. I can't read as much as other people. I have to read a certain amount of books or I am a failure. And I had to think about it, but I did come up with some statements. And so these are ones that I'm not happy with, these statements that I realize that I do think about my reading life, but I have to read with all of my free time is one that I kind of subconsciously have thought since I started BookTube. And it's really hard ever since I started BookTube for me to totally get rid of that. I've kind of, over the past 2 years, I've been a bit better about not feeling guilty if I don't want to read, but it's still there. I can only occasionally treat myself to mysteries and middle grade fiction. Those are my two kind of books that I find a respite, and I find myself thinking of them as treat reads, and that I am not entitled to be able to read them whenever I want, which is so silly. And then also, I should read the same on days that I feel unwell as on the days that I feel well. That is something that's been really hard for me with chronic illness, is to not expect myself to have the same reading capabilities on a really bad fatigue day. It's just, sitting upright with a physical book is just not, it doesn't always happen on days that I feel sick. And so then I sit there feeling guilty about, why am I not reading a physical book when I'm reading for fun? And it's just so silly. Often on days when I feel not the worst, an audiobook will be comforting, especially lately I've been knitting while listening to an audiobook, and I find that really comforting, especially with some hot cocoa. I'm going to do that after this video now. But even some days I feel so lousy, I can't really pay attention to an audiobook. So just being okay with that, with there being kind of peaks and valleys with my reading within a week, and not expecting myself to just read full speed ahead every single day of my life. And then, how has this impacted your reading life? And I said it gives me guilt when I don't feel like reading. And also, it makes me burn out with not enough easy reading. So the really comforting reads, middle grade, and mysteries, those are kind of, they refresh me, they energize me to do more reading and to keep on going. And if I don't, I hit some reading slumps this year. I did read mysteries, as you know, 2019, I didn't really read mysteries until the end of the year. So I did read mysteries this year, but I think I should have read them more. Okay, then it says, now ask yourself the following questions. Is the story true? Was the story true at one time, but it is no longer true? Who first told me the story about myself? Am I taking on the expectations or judgments of other people? What can I do to change my story? I think sometimes that the story that I tell myself also is that for BookTube, I need to keep reading, and I need to keep reading classics, because that is a reason people, people like my channel. So I just said the statement, I will read when I want to read and not hesitate to read the treat reads that I have. And then it says, now flip your story upside down. Make those supposed weaknesses into your reading strengths. And I really liked how the positivity of this workbook that Kailey made. You know, it's reading is supposed to be a joy. It's not supposed to be this chore or something you have negative feelings about. So I decided that I would, put it in a positive light by saying I can still read plenty, even with days that I don't feel like reading on. So over the course of the year, I can still have read a lot of books, even if there are a number of days in that year that I was not feeling up for reading. Then also I can freely pursue the comfort reads. And I added in the statement that Kailey said, my reading time is valuable and beneficial no matter what I read. Then influence. You're supposed to think about the people in your life who have influenced your reading, either in a good or bad way. And I don't really have anyone that influenced my reading for bad, which I'm really thankful for. So I thought of my dad, first of all, who I saw him reading a lot. He showed to me that reading was important to him. And he also read aloud to me and my siblings. That was a regular occurrence in our household, and I'm so grateful for it. There's just so many benefits to being read aloud to. And Sarah Mackenzie's book, The Read Aloud Family, I'm feeling like I want to read it very soon, just to feel kind of re-inspired and revamped in reading aloud to my own children. And then my grandmother gave me my love of mysteries. So those of you who have watched my mystery videos that, where I talk about mysteries, know that I kind of struggle with Golden Age mysteries. And I think the first mysteries that often are, recommended to people are Golden Age mysteries. And they just didn't pull me in as much being a new mystery reader. So I'm so grateful my grandmother recommended Ruth Rendell to me, and that just ignited this love in me. Like, oh, this is a genre I really, really love. And then my aunt and then my friend Susan, what I really liked as I got a little bit older into young adulthood, I remembered thinking how I wanted to have kids, but I was really worried that I wouldn't read at all because so many of the mothers that I know don't read. And they say they don't have time to read. And obviously, if you're busy and you choose not to read, that is more than reasonable. If whatever you choose to do with your time is none of my business. But people saying I don't have time to read and then they have time for social media and Netflix, that's a different story. So people saying, oh, I don't have time to read. But then these were two moms that I saw reading voraciously and also doing a great job taking care of their children. So yeah, that was really just encouraging to me to realize, wait, maybe it doesn't have to be like I have kids or I get to read for fun. Maybe I can do both. Maybe it's possible. And it has been possible. And then also, I am so thankful to my mother for introducing me to the Betsy Tacy books. I have been like a giddy schoolgirl getting ready to reread that series with Rainey. I'm so excited. It's the first thing I'm going to pick up on January 1st. Okay. Then take a moment to thank someone who has influenced your reading for good. And Kailey gives you multiple ways that you can thank someone. So I'm going to make sure to do that in the upcoming days. Then she says, take a moment to forgive someone who criticized your reading. I'm very grateful that I don't have that experience in my life of people judging me for what I read. Or I've just shut it out of my memory. I don't know. So the next section is the why section. Why? And it was interesting. I did have to think about, why is it that I read so much? Every goal should have a why that drives your motivation. What is it that you want to achieve with your reading? Why is a reading goal important to you? And she has a list of suggestions here. And once I thought about it, I did come up with some things. I thought I didn't really know. Why is it that I read? I just do. Why do you breathe? You just do. So write down what motivates you to read. I said personal enjoyment. Also, honestly, to be very transparent, it's a wonderful escape from thinking about chronic illness. I love escaping into a book and not worrying about or thinking about how I'm feeling awful on a given day. It's really nice. Then it also just enriches my life, whether it's through the actual reading of the book or whether it's through book discussions with lovely subscribers, or if I'm doing a buddy read. So typically on Voxer is how I do buddy reads, or just general book discussions. My Patreon book club, it's really fun to hear kind of the variety of things that people are reading, and then I'm really looking forward to discussing specific Victorian books with them. And then also making memories with my boys. So Arthur still isn't there for listening to chapter books read aloud, but we read picture books aloud, and I just have so much fun with Peter reading aloud chapter books, and can't wait to read another chapter of The Box of Delights with him. Okay, then the next section is obstacles. Every goal has obstacles that must be overcome. What do you feel is holding you back from achieving your reading goals? What do you feel is holding you back from your reading goals? I have a few here, once I thought about it. One is having too many books on my currently reading shelf on Goodreads. I get overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, and I know Whitney from the Unread Bookshelf, or the Unread Shelf. She has a whole wonderful project you can sign up for to have prompts each month to help you read books off your own bookshelves. And she talks about the snowball method, which is actually a financial paying off debt financial plan where you pay off your smallest debts first, and it's kind of this. You feel very motivated as you're slowly chipping away at this. But I think that I just get really overwhelmed when I have so many books on the go on my Goodreads. Right now, I can't even remember what the number is. I wanted to fix that in 2020. It didn't happen. I'm hoping to do better 2021. Tomorrow's new with no mistakes in it, right? Okay, then also when I feel unwell. That's an obstacle. Sticking with books I don't love. I am pretty good about DNFing, but there have been some this year that I have pushed through, and I wish I hadn't done that. So I would love to have, at the end of next year, having no books that I wished I had DNF'd. Also, being distracted by social media. This is such a problem in the modern age, whether it's Instagram. I don't really mind if I get distracted by BookTube. I mind when I get distracted by clickbait videos. Okay, then what are some ways that you can overcome these obstacles? So on some days when I feel like a 0 out of 10, no reading is going to happen on that day, and I'm okay with that. But on the days that I feel medium and an audiobook is going to be just what the doctor ordered, I would be really happy if I was able to read and have a really enriching time reading because of an audiobook. That would make me really happy. Then also putting my phone on airplane mode when I want to read, so I won't get distracted by any new things coming in. And DNF without hesitation. Do not feel sorry to DNF. Okay, then here are some ideas for overcoming reading obstacles, and she has a really great whole list for if you find it hard to concentrate, if you procrastinate, if you can't find the energy to motivation to read, if you feel intimidated by large books, if you have a reading disorder. Wonderful, wonderful resource this book is, this handbook. Then a really fun section, wins and wishes. What are some of your favorite reading moments or memories? And what is a reading accomplishment of which you are proud? Again, I got to this question, I was like, I don't know if I have any. And then the more I thought about, oh yes. So one, I'm glad that I am proficient at reading Victorian literature. It was really hard for me when I first started reading Victorian literature. And if you are new to it and feel like you're just not cut out for it because it takes you a long time, don't feel discouraged. It's like learning, I've heard people say it's like learning a new dialect. And if it takes you longer, but you really enjoy the time that you're doing it, that is okay. You don't have to feel rushed. So I'm glad that it feels less arduous to pick up a Victorian novel. Two, I run Literary Parlor, which is over the year 2020, it's been online, an online book club. And I am proud of that I get to do that. And we have special events, and hopefully in the second half of 2021, we will be meeting in person again. Then also, I have a Patreon book club now. I am so proud that I have that, and it's been such a lovely experience so far. And I'm genuinely excited about and passionate about hosting that book club, and can't wait to see everyone for the next meeting. Then I have kept my channel through chronic illness and having a baby. That's something I did genuinely when, not when I had a baby, because that was like expected, but when I had my chronic illness, begin 2.5 years ago, there were points in that first year that I thought about quitting. And I think I'm really grateful that it ended up being the year that I was hosting the Betsy Tacy read along, because it kept me going once a month, doing a video. Even if it was a really tired video, it kept me going. And now I'm glad because I've gotten kind of more used to just not feeling as great when I film. I'm okay with that. I don't feel that great today, but I'm not at my worst, and it makes me really happy to film. So I've gotten kind of used to doing it that way. And also, I am really proud of the interview that I did with the George Eliot Fellowship. That's something that I'm really proud of, and I hope it's a resource for George Eliot fans out there. When they type in George Eliot on YouTube, I hope it's one of the earlier things that shows up. And also the collaborative projects that I've done with people, particularly the one that I did for Victober this year, The Fate of Jane Moore, the Choose Your Own Adventure story. That was so rewarding to do, and to work with people all over the world was wonderful. Then what are some of your reading wishes? Things that you want to accomplish with your reading? I want to interview more people. So this is kind of rehashing a little bit, what was in my reading goals video yesterday. And then also, this is a goal for not this year, but maybe the next year. And I am curious if anyone else had thought about attending this. I want to attend the Malice Domestic Conference. This is usually, I think it's DC is where it's hosted. And it is a mystery lovers conference where, dozens of mystery authors attend, and they also host the Agatha Awards during that week at the Malice Domestic conference. There's lots of talks on mystery writing. You can get books signed, and it just seems like just my type of book conference. And it would be a dream come true. So that's something that, thinking about for 2022, I would love to attend that. Then I would love to visit more author homes. I would love to go on a retreat with a bunch of booktubers at some point. I don't know when and if that will happen, but that's something that also would be really great. And then see my reading goals video. This is those are more grand plans, but Kailey's suggestion for her workbook is to do more specific things. And so I do have, I'll just show you the tops of some of these cards because these videos aren't out yet. But I'm putting these physical cards on my bookshelf. And so this first one is 5 mystery series. So I'm hoping to finish 5 mystery series in this next year, whether it's catch up as much, as many as are published in the book, or finish in a series that's actually finished reading a series. And so I'm going to slowly write, different series that I have finished throughout this year on this. I hope it's a goal I can do, and it will just feel so fun to do that. And then you can see above that I have my Chunky Books TBR, and with the actual titles written on it, and then my Global Classics TBR. So these are just going to go, on my bookshelf, and hopefully seeing them throughout the year will make me more likely to do them. Because what has happened every single year I've made reading goals on BookTube is that I make the goals at the beginning of the year and honestly forget a lot about them. So I made more modest goals this year, and hopefully seeing them tangibly, physically on my shelves will be nice reminders and fun motivation. Yeah, I want it to be fun. Okay, the next section, I did then make more specific goals. So I have the finish 5 mystery series, and then what I like is Kailey has put why this goal is important to me. And I have that it's comforting. Reading mysteries is comforting to me. And it's on those days where I feel like I can't concentrate much. Mysteries are a great respite. And then your action plan for it. And I will continue to check out mystery audiobooks. And I have this list, that card there motivating me to finish the mystery series. And next one, read nonfiction regularly. So why this goal is important to me, I find since I read less nonfiction, it's a breath of fresh air when I do read it, especially the memoir sort. It's just a breath of fresh air. So my action plan is that on my Chunky Books TBR, you'll see there are going to be some nonfiction books on there. Hopefully nonfiction audiobooks, and then my bedtime diaries that I'm planning on reading. You'll see that video coming out soon. And then another goal, read aloud to my boys each day. Why it's important to me, it's quality time with them. And on a day when I can't really do any playing with them, I can say that I have read to them in that day. And my action plan is to read every afternoon. That'll just be the time of day that I read to them, right before quiet rest time or during quiet rest time to Peter. That's when we will do it. Fourth goal is make my way through my TBR stack, my global classics list, and my chunky books list. Those will make me, those are tangible goals, especially with the TBR stack. I can see that physically in front of me. And why it's important to me. And I just put it's fun to accomplish goals. So these are goals that I have. They're books that I'm genuinely interested in. And so now, since they're on a goals list, it will be really fun if I can actually achieve those goals. And my action plan, the list on my bookshelves, and seeing the TBR stack in front of me. And then lastly, I also put, there's space for 4 goals. Kailey recommends just keeping it to 4 because having more can kind of seem overwhelming. But I did add a bonus goal, and that is to have less books on my currently reading shelf. My action plan that I will alternate a new book and then finish up one on my currently reading shelf kind of every other. I'm going to see how I can do that. I know I have so many books I want to read just in the month of January, let alone the rest of the year. Then she has a page that has kind of how do you track your reading and how do you stay motivated. So tracking this year, I will not be doing a reading journal, anything like that. I've tried it in different years and it doesn't work for me. I lose motivation about a week into the project. I wish I was different. I want to channel Doris and, I am just in awe of Doris's reading journals. And I wish I was more like you, Doris, if you're watching, but I'm not. So I can't fight it. So I just track my Goodreads challenge. I really like putting up a challenge up there. The number, honestly, is kind of arbitrary to me because I end up beating it every year, and I don't get that thrilled by beating the number. So thankfully, the challenge doesn't feel overwhelming to me. It's just I love getting to click on my reading challenge and see what I've read in order throughout the year. I don't know, something about it I just love. I do like knowing the number of books that I've read, but I'm not really like, oh, I'm this many over my goal. Once I've hit the goal, it's cool. So I find it all as a positive thing. And then I do have kind of, as I'm planning on making monthly TBRs this year, shocker, which is just kind of the reading projects that I have, like the book clubs that I host and the Mitford read along, those kinds of things. I do have those written in my planner, so I will check, those top books off. That's as much as I'll do for tracking my reading. Then for staying motivated, I think this is great. So it's a great resource, this workbook. She suggests watching BookTube, listening to a bookish podcast, join a reading group or book club. I'm really glad I have access to those, all of these. Follow the social media of a reader you admire. That is a really great way because sometimes people don't talk about all the books they read on YouTube, but they might post more on Instagram what they're currently reading. Read book reviews, do a buddy read with another reader, join a readathon. I have my kind of, set readathons that I join in with. And then also I liked this reward yourself. So one thing that I have found I like doing when I'm having trouble being distracted by my phone, either to put it on airplane mode or say, I will read this chapter and then I will check social media. So making sure I have, at least gotten some reading done before I move on to social media. And then also, I'm very excited about this plan. I have 2 special books coming in the mail. I'm going to save them though for a book haul I'll be doing once all the books that I order are here. There's 2 that are especially like light, fluffy, comfort reads that I'm planning on. If I finish a book either in my global classics list or my chunky books TBR, I'm going to read one of these books. And it will make more sense once you see the books, how I have that planned for the whole year. And then I do like the idea of creating a reading vision board for your reading wishes. Write a book wish list. I do actually have that going in my phone. Do some bookish crafts. Also, don't compare yourself to other readers. Your reading is your reading, not anyone else's. Take a book with you everywhere. Reread an old favorite book. Rearrange your bookshelves. Declutter and get rid of some books that no longer appeal to you. Then Kailey has a follow-up section, which she recommends after a few weeks doing assessment of how your goals are so far. A few weeks, I feel like I won't know for myself how my goals are going because that's not even a full month. So I have written here in April 2021, I will be checking back in with all of you. I did want to do more check-ins this year because I have noticed Katie from Books and Things is really wonderful at keeping tabs on how her reading is going throughout the year. And I just kind of throw caution to the wind, forget about it the whole year, and then am shaking my head at, my reading for the year when I realize all the goals that I had that I didn't get to any of. So I want to change that this year and check in with you in April, and then later on in the year, maybe do a check-in every season. I don't know. I just know you will be seeing me back here in April with this workbook, letting you know how it's going. I hope that you enjoyed hearing about how I filled that out. I just thought it was a marvelous thing that Kailey did and that she's made it free to everyone. So yeah, go ahead, fill it out for yourself, and I will see you guys for another video soon. Bye.